That's awesome. Okay, so a little technical difficulty there. I'm gonna play. I already played the intro, but I'm gonna do it again just to get it
Okay.
right this time. This is our first show. This is my first show, so it's expected. Okay, here we go. Good morning, mental health warriors, or good afternoon in the UK. My name is Dave Tu. I am the host of Creating to Heal live stream web show. I'm here with my guest today, Adam Duval, who is a cartoonist and mental health warrior and a mental health advocate and therapist. So thank you, Adam, for coming on my show today. Thank you for
Welcome.
being here with me today. I'm excited. This is my first live web show of Creating to Heal. And yeah, I thought it would be great to have you on so we could just talk about creativity and mental health and how those things go together in your life, in your world. So let's see. First of all, let's just start off with a question that I posed to you just before we went on. It is what role has creativity played in your own journey of healing and personal growth?
I say the role it's actually provided is basically showing who I really am and how much creativity serves us and shows how powerful it is. Because the drawings I've been doing, I only basically did that just to get through Christmas. I didn't think it'd actually turn into something.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I can relate to that. If I don't do something creative, I get depressed. It's almost a rule with me. Sometimes if I start getting depressed, I'm like, what's going on? What's wrong? And then I realize I haven't been doing something creative. And yeah, and a lot of times the holidays are one of those seasons when people do feel a lot of stress, anxiety, sometimes depression, just all of those, things go together a lot for a lot of people during the holidays. So that's awesome that you created and it helped you get through, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. So what made you decide to do cartooning as an art?
Um Again, I was just using it just I knew I could draw, but I didn't think I could draw as good as I actually could. So obviously, I just thought, you know what, use it as a distraction just to get me through the Christmas period.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was it. I weren't going to draw again, or probably just the odd doodle here and there. But I thought, you know what, this could actually. I started enjoying it after I did like Mickey Mouse and all that. So then I just started rolling with it, and now I'm doing loads.
That's so great. I'm so
Two
happy for you.
today.
Two today. Do you have them with you? Like,
I've got pictures.
yeah, yeah. I'd love. Well, is there a way for you to show it on your screen, like share screen, or show it on your
Um,
camera?
yeah, yeah.
I would love to show the audience some of what you've been doing, and I have one
Uh,
here too. Ah, that's
That's
awesome.
one. That's
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
That's so cool. I love
Yeah,
Deadpool.
and obviously Jigsaw.
Jigsaw. Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Those are two very iconic characters, I think. Yeah. So let's see. Uh how about do you would you recommend creativity to other people that are maybe struggling with their mental health as a form of like self therapy or something that they could do to get themselves through like difficult times perhaps like you did?
Um, Absolutely, I really do. Sorry, I'm just sharing this, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
I, I do. I highly recommend it, and definitely within schools as well, because what pees me off the most is the fact that they're drumming creativity out of children
Hmm.
and replaced it with what exactly?
Right.
That's exactly what it is. Is what? So obviously creativity, getting people to self heal through drawing, because everything's art, whether it's singing, whether it's music, whatever, it's art, and I think creativity and get people to draw would actually really benefit them.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I would love to see a study if they did them in schools about children or students' mental health, how often they have to go see counselors and things based on whether or not they're doing art or music or any of the creative outlets. I would love to see a study like that to see if there's a correlation between improved mental health and creativity in school. That would be
Yeah,
an excellent study to do
I
because
agree.
I assume, based on my own personal experience, just like I mentioned about how I feel depressed or anxious sometimes if I'm not being creative, I wonder if the results of a study like that would show that, that in schools there might even be less incidents of um, things like violence and things like that if there
Yeah,
is creativity going on.
yeah,
Because I've noticed one thing about creativity. Um, this might come from the streets and hip hop culture, but when instead of in in like hip hop culture, there is an idea that is like battling creatively instead of fighting with your fists or guns,
yeah,
and it's like hip hop battles. So people do visual art battles with their graffiti art, for example, instead of fighting,
yeah,
or they do a rap battle where they use words, creative words and rhyming and bars instead of like fighting it out, physically. And
mm,
that concept really seems to come through in hip hop culture. I don't know what other, there's all kinds of ways you can have a DJ battle or a breakdance battle. Have you seen breakdance battles, for example?
no,
Oh, it's
I'd seen
amazing.
them.
You've never seen one?
No,
It's amazing. Whole crews will come together in like a warehouse or something, and they have an audience, and the audience watches two b-boys, they call them, which are break dancers, for example. They battle with their body moves. So
wow,
whoever has the best like style in their dance, the crowd decides who wins. And it's amazing. Some of it's very violent, like not punching and fighting, but the movements are violent, and they kind of like give b-boys an opportunity to like express violent feelings through dance,
yeah,
or you've heard some of the lyrics in rap music, it's like I'm
yeah,
gonna bust a lyrical cap in you or whatever, stuff like that. But and then when if two crews, for example, or two MCs or whatever have a beef, they call it in hip hop, they agree to battle it out in artistic form, and then whoever wins, that settles, the beef is squashed and it's settled, you know. So I don't know. That just, when you said that, about creativity in schools, it led me to think about how we have violence in our schools more
yeah,
than ever now. And I just
absolutely.
wonder if some of those feelings that kids are having that cause them to act out, if they had more creativity in schools, they could get that sort of aggression or, frustration or whatever they're feeling out through creative outlets such as music or
Yeah,
visual art or dance or anything like that. Yeah.
agreed.
Wow, I had no idea the conversation would take that turn. I hadn't even thought about that
Expect the
before.
unexpected, brother.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it makes me want to watch a hip hop like dance battle. I'll have
We
to
know what
send,
you're up to today, then.
I'll have to send you a link. But there's movies about it, like documentary films and stuff about it. But and
Yeah.
graffiti art is the same way. It's like whoever has the most, vicious style, or whatever is the winner of a graffiti battle. So
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting because I'm not an expert on hip hop culture at all, but one of the things that in the inner cities where this kind of culture has arisen, um, a lot of times they're marked with like things like poverty and violence and all these things. And I this is just my theory, my idea of why it might have arisen that way is just kind of solve the problem of violence.
Yeah.
Like these young people, um, in the inner cities, in cities like New York and Chicago and probably London too, had some frustration about whatever their situation, and people start dying when people fight and use guns and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And it just seems like the whole idea of battling through art is a way to escape the physical violence, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's
that's fun.
also alternatives.
Right. And so yeah, so can you tell me more about your journey? I know you're an advocate for men's mental health.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you want to know? Where it all started, or what?
Yeah, I'd love to know how you got started, like because I don't know that story. I know you talked about it a little bit in a previous episode, but I was
Yeah.
working and I didn't get to tune in.
Yeah. Well. Basically, it's just how it all started. For me to be on the journey I am today, it actually took me to attempt suicide back in 2019 due to all the trauma that's happened in my life,
Mhm.
from losing my daughter to the system to being beaten countless times on a daily basis by my own family and in school. I was bullied all throughout my educational life, and it just got too much for me. And I just thought, that's it. I
Yeah.
didn't think about anything.
Mhm.
That was the only thing I thought about, was ending it.
Yeah. Wow. I'm a survivor myself. I don't know if you know that about me, but I also attempted, so I can relate to that feeling of hopelessness and
Yeah,
just um, yeah, just that dark hole that you feel yourself in, and there's no way out. And yeah, we have a new crisis line here in the United States. It used to be a very long telephone number that it was like 1-800 blah 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 blah.
yeah,
But this new number is just it's like our 911 emergency line, but it's 988, and that is the number that people are encouraged to call here if they're feeling hopeless, having those ideations that would lead them to unalive themselves. And yeah, so I'm sure you guys have that kind of system there.
yeah. We do. Obviously, for people to actually ring up at any time of the day, all night, it's obviously free to call. Obviously, I've got the number in my phone as well, but also we've got which I don't have that number saved, but for people, I know there's many people that don't like talking over the phone,
Hmm.
but they've actually got a number where you can text it and then a therapist actually responds to you.
Yes,
So I
yes,
think that's absolutely brilliant.
it
That's all.
is. Yeah, especially for young people. I've noticed that fewer and fewer young people want to talk on the telephone now, and they are
Yeah,
more likely to text one another than to have a audio chat
yeah.
or video chat. So that's great. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can text 988 here in the States as well. So that's great.
Very
So
good.
so from like escaping that dark tunnel, what was it that kind of brought you out of that?
Um, it was actually my kids
Okay.
because
Yeah.
obviously this was 2019
Hmm.
and I was petrified to even leave the bedroom.
Mhm.
Obviously, I neglected myself. I neglected the people around me,
Mhm.
and I just thought, I just can't do this. And I didn't eat. I didn't shower or anything like that. And obviously, I was basically received help to actually getting downstairs, which
Mhm.
obviously we've got. I know you haven't got it over there, but we've got something called the National Health Services over here,
Mhm.
and basically I was due to have a therapy session that day in person, and I didn't turn up. So obviously they rang me 24 hours later saying, "What's going on? Why are you not here?" And I explained because I was hearing these voices in my head basically saying, "You're worthless. You need to die. No one will miss you," and all that. And and basically they said, "Right, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll cancel your therapy session and I'll refer you on to another team."
Mhm.
I'm like, "Right, okay then." And then I heard nothing. And then obviously I was wanted to do something for autism awareness,
Mhm.
because obviously my kids have got autism, and that was to do 50,000 steps in a day for autism, which I did accomplish. But obviously, the first day I actually went out because obviously I was helped to ease my way outside. Because every time I went near the door when it was open, I was shaking big time,
Mhm.
and obviously I was then eased to the garden gate, and then obviously I thought, right, okay, let's try it. So obviously we took the kids to school, and but I was literally way behind them, because I kept looking over my shoulder, thinking what the hell was going on, because that was I turned out it was a severe anxiety attack I experienced.
Mhm.
And obviously, my daughter at this point stopped, came to me, held my hand, and she looked at me and she went, "Dad, you can do this."
Mhm.
So then that was the trigger to say, right, okay, I can do this. And
Wow.
then ever since, I was okay. Obviously, at one point, I was sat on the settee. Kids looked miserable and bored. I was just there playing on my phone, and I looked up. I noticed that they were miserable and bored. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So I basically kicked myself up the ass for it. So then I started thinking, right, something needs to change. And
Wow.
that's when I got onto this path to do my mental health training and all that.
That's a beautiful story. Wow. Isn't
Yeah.
it amazing how sometimes your own child can, help you like that? Like we help them until they get to a certain age and then sometimes they help us back. That's
My kids are my role models.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that because kids, yeah, they have a lot figured out that we seem to forget as adults,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. So, what do your kids think about your art?
They love it.
Yeah, I
They
bet.
absolutely love it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just obviously my daughter wants a Harry Potter bedroom, so I'm like, right, okay. And
Yeah,
twice now I've attempted to draw Harry Potter and it just didn't look right. But I
yeah.
have drawn a Hedwig though.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you showed me that one. That was cool.
Yeah, I have
Very
drawn
cool.
Hedwig. So obviously I'm
Yeah.
gonna draw that again. I'm gonna attempt to draw Dobby and
Okay.
then go from that.
Yeah, we're Harry Potter fans around here, so yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. Um, there was a question I had in mind. Oh, it was just that. Um, uh, does your daughter like to draw too, or
No, no,
not? No.
no, but she likes to sing.
Well, that's creative. That's definitely
Yeah,
creative.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I um I have two kids, and one of them is very artistic, and the other one is more analytical.
All
But
right.
they're both creative in different ways. I think as long as we encourage creativity with children, they will embrace it, and find their own particular type of creativity that they're into. And I think that's important. That brings it back to the school thing. I think schools have kind of discouraged creativity by taking out art, music, things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
dance, all that stuff. And not just for mental health, but just for scholastic reasons, we should have art and music and all that in schools. because one of the aspects of creativity is it applies to everything. So, even, and people don't necessarily believe this, but creative problem solving can even be applied to math or maths. You guys say
Absolutely. Yeah.
maths. We say math singular. You guys say maths plural. But
Maths, mathematics, whatever.
mathematics, yeah. And science. Like, think of all the like scientific inventions that have been created through creativity, you know? But if we're teaching kids that the only way to get a good grade is just to memorize something and then like recite it, I think we're missing out on a big aspect of what education can be.
Yeah, I think that's what the school system have now started doing. They've actually started to put grades and government targets over actual kids
Right.
and what they can provide. And I don't think schools have actually acknowledged how great and creative these kids can actually be.
Hmm.
And it's just a constant battle, and
Yeah.
it's draining.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we can bring it back to the mental health
Yeah.
aspect, and I mentioned this at the beginning that you are an advocate for men's mental health.
Yeah.
What do you believe are some unique challenges to men when it comes to seeking support and opening up about their emotions?
Well, we've been brainwashed. I can tell that because obviously some part. I know it's slowly going away, but some parts of society still deem men as masculine, dominant, and independently providers for their family, and we're very restricted from showing how vulnerable we can actually be.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, I did a TikTok video this morning, believe it or not, and I'm just getting the figures now. Just bear with. It was come on. Yeah, that was it. 43,487 people have actually committed suicide just this year, and was still in
Wow.
January, and 75% of that was men.
Wow. That's a sobering statistic.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. I've heard statistics based on the number of people every so many minutes, have died by suicide, but wow, that puts it in perspective when you
It does.
think about it that way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's heartbreaking.
it really is.
But I'm actually glad that women are actually stepping up and
Mhm.
saying, yeah, we're vulnerable. We can be vulnerable. We can struggle with mental health, but so can they.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've had look countless times online for men's like group sessions
Hmm.
to in my local area, and there's nothing for
Yeah.
men. There's
Hmm.
nothing.
That is unfortunate. I mean, it's nice that people have something like mental health warriors that they can access
Of course.
from anywhere in the world, anytime. The both the live streams and the online, videos. So hopefully,
Yeah.
I mean, my reason for doing this is to help people, and I think it's the main reason you started the entire mental health warriors is to help other people know they're not alone, to reduce the stigma or break the stigma of mental health and mental illness. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, it wasn't. This wasn't actually my idea to start this.
oh, okay.
No, it wasn't. Obviously, we had a friend called Philip Chan. Now, obviously, he sadly passed away. He was a mathematician as well. He helped families from all
Yeah.
over, and obviously, he was branded the 10-second maths expert. And he actually taught my son like trigonometry and Pythagoras and all that.
Yeah.
And and obviously, he sadly passed away 2 years ago, which is a
Hmm.
shame.
Yeah.
And he basically he saw that I was posting negative stuff on Facebook because I
Hmm.
was I was suffering, I really was. And he contacted me and he went, Adam, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, I'm really struggling here. He went, I see great potential in you into helping people. So you need to do something about that.
Hmm.
And he kept going round to people, like his friends, business people, and all that, praising me. Now, obviously, I know someone from London who I've never met, and obviously, he contacted me at one point. Oh, we have catch up from time to time. He
Yeah.
basically said Phil contacted me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and all he did was have praise for you. I'm like,
Mm.
wow, okay. And this was basically like a week before he passed away.
Wow.
So obviously he basically said, right, so we need to knuckle down and do something. I'm like, okay, so what do we call this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, I just think this was just a temporary thing. I didn't think it was going to last this long.
Hmm.
He said, what about the mental health warriors? And right, okay. And I was basically thinking, why warriors?
Hmm.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Um, and he basically explained the history behind warriors of how they fought and fought and fought, and they didn't care if they drew blood. They were fighting for victory,
Hmm.
and that's what we do on a daily basis with our mental health. We fight and we stay alive every single day,
Absolutely.
and
Wow.
that's
That's
victory
beautiful.
to me.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. I just yeah, that's so powerful, that whole story. And one thing that I've heard, and I'm not super familiar with, like, I know the culture in the West regarding men. It's just like you said, like we're supposed to be strong, not show emotion unless it's positive, and all of that. And
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. And there is stigma if a man like cries in public or anything like that, shows too much emotion that could be described as feminine, or you know what I mean.
yeah.
Yeah. But I've heard it said that in the East, it's not as much like that. I don't know that for sure, but that it is considered manly to be able to, like, show emotion and things like that. Have you heard anything like that?
I have, yes. When I was doing my mental health training, level 3, believe it or not, um, I basically came across, like, obviously studying cultures when it comes to
Hmm.
mental health. And I know that in the Asian and
Hmm.
African culture, if anyone shows any sort, especially men, if they show any sign of vulnerable,
Hmm.
automatically they're kicked out of the tribe and
Wow.
branded weak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that starts at a young age for boys,
it
right?
does,
Young
absolutely.
boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So yeah. Wow. I've heard of a ceremony that has to do with, well, this is um, maybe for another time, but yeah, that resonates with what I've heard too. So definitely. So so you've only started cartooning within the last, what, like, couple of
Since
months
Christmas, yeah, since
since
Christmas.
Christmas? Yeah. So do you feel like this is going to be a lifelong journey that you're going to enjoy?
This is definitely long term. It is.
Hmm.
It's long term. I didn't think I'd ever sell one,
Yeah.
but I have to you.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I wanted to get in on the ground floor because someday I won't be able to afford your art. It'll be too expensive. You'll be selling your pieces for thousands of pounds, and I will
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I
I've
will have
already.
one the first.
Yeah, well, I've already stated because obviously, I thought, yeah, while we're just sitting here, hang on a minute, my cat keeps going for the biscuits here. Um, hang on. I drew the Simpsons family because I was just sat here thinking, what should I draw?
Yeah.
So obviously, I drew the Simpsons family, and I thought, right, okay, and they look absolutely brilliant.
Yes, they
So I
do.
thought,
I
right,
agree with
okay, I just come up with a price in my head. So for one member, I'm
that.
going to
Mhm.
charge like 30 quid
Yeah.
for one. But if it's the entire family,
Mhm.
100 quid.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Selling art is a tricky thing.
Yeah, it is.
I've had pieces that I think should sell for, more or less, and I still don't know exactly how much to price pieces because I've done some that take very little time, and I don't even think they're the best, but I put a fairly high price on them and they still sell. And then I have ones that I've taken a lot of time on and I think they're very good, and I've priced them even lower because I want someone to have them quickly, and they
Yeah.
don't sell at all.
No,
So
I know.
it's weird. Art is a weird animal, but
It
you know,
is.
for me, I don't know if this resonates with you at all, but for me, I do it for myself. Like I create because I need to do it for my own mental health, and I try to incorporate um, something that will benefit someone else, like they'll enjoy it or it'll bring a smile to their face or it'll brighten their day. And then if it sells, that's like extra. That's like the gravy on top, or whatever, or the icing on the cake, as they say. But for me, I don't know if that resonates with you, but if you find joy in it and it brings you, a certain kind of inner well being, I think that's the greatest gift that
Yeah.
creativity and art can bring to a person.
Yeah, well, we actually said because obviously, our son that did smart art, which obviously it was in our local library for a few weeks,
Hmm.
on show, which was brilliant. And now obviously he's brought it home, and now it's on our wall. So obviously we're gonna make our wall just art.
Yeah.
So obviously it's gonna have a mix of his art, my daughter's art, my art. It's just
Hmm.
gonna be beautiful.
Yeah. That's awesome. And
Yeah,
you've told me before offline when we weren't, you told me that you throw away some of your pieces when you don't like them.
yeah,
I understand that feeling. I totally understand that feeling. But if I could encourage you or anyone else out there that's like learning art to keep those pieces, because a year from now or 2 years from now, you can draw the exact same thing that you drew and compare the two, and you'll see how much you progressed over that period of time. And I've done that myself. Like I've drawn the same thing years later or a year later, and I see how much I've progressed. And it's encouraging to yourself to
yeah,
say, oh man, I've learned so much over this past year, and I've
yeah.
advanced in my skills. So yeah, I used to do the same thing though. I would just, if I didn't like a drawing, I would wad it up real quick and throw it away. Just like, oh, that's ugly. I don't like that. I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed for anyone to see it.
But even then, and I think you have as well. I've had that, and I want to say this live as well. Is I've had doubters and people attacking me for my drawings, and I have to just put it out there. I want to thank them because, at the end of the day, their negativity is useless to me.
Hmm.
It is because I'm using it as leverage to keep going with these
Yes.
drawings. If people don't like them, that isn't my problem. That is their problem. And
Yes.
that's and as Dwayne Johnson clearly says, a negative mindset does not give you a positive life.
No, it doesn't. And yeah, welcome to the party, because whatever you create, I mean, look at some of the famous artists throughout history.
Yeah,
Some of them rarely sold a painting, but now they're in museums and their paintings are, very valued, and they but that's the thing with art. That's the other thing that's weird about art. A lot of times in an artist's time, people don't always understand what they're doing because it's different than what they may have seen in the past, or it doesn't necessarily
yeah,
fit their idea of what art should be. I mean, the best situation is, where I feel like it is, you can push art forward by being creative and doing something that's a little different, and people still appreciate it in your own lifetime,
yeah.
enough to purchase it.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to find the artist because obviously his first painting was a scribble, just a
Yeah.
scribble.
Hmm.
And now look how much it's worth now in a museum.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's amazing.
fascinating. It
It
really
really
is.
is. It's
But yeah,
totally.
I'm just gonna keep going. I'm keep going.
Yeah, that's the
If people want to buy them, fine. I've got people get in touch with me saying I would pay those few £100 when you start charging them,
yeah,
and I've had people saying I'm charging too much.
sure. Yeah, and
The art of business.
yeah, if you try to please everyone, you'll end up not pleasing anyone.
Exactly.
My philosophy with art. So I do what makes me happy. I do it with the intent of, hopefully this will bring some value to someone else's life. If it brings enough value that they want to purchase it and hang it on their wall, that's bonus points.
Absolutely.
But for me, I'm going to keep making it, and I'm just
Yeah.
like you. A lot of people don't understand my art. I don't have a visual up on the screen or anything, but um, you've seen my spray monsters, my little characters that I create, and a lot of people think they're silly and frivolous, but some people tell me that made me really smile when I saw that. That brightened my day. And when I hear that kind of feedback, it's like, okay, maybe not everybody gets it, but everybody doesn't have to get it. If it's for
No.
one person and they enjoy it, it's worth it for me to put it out there in the world. I mean, I could paint and make paintings and just hide them in the studio or whatever, but if they're going to bring people joy and happiness, I want them to see them. And I see that in your cartooning too. When I see your cartoons, I'm like, that made me smile. That made me happy. It brought back a memory of a character that I enjoyed as a
Yeah,
child.
absolutely. Like obviously when I sent you that picture of that Care Bear, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the face doesn't look right, and you based it straight on me and saying that is your design, and that's
Yes.
exact, and I accepted that straight up,
Hmm.
and now your partner loves it.
Yes, exactly. And you'll bring, this is, I don't know, this is my idea about it. You'll bring your own personal style to whatever you create.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess, like computers now can recreate something, like take a photograph and turn it into AI art or whatever. But we still, as humans, we can bring our own personal style to it. And I don't think a computer can really do that. Like it can't experience what you've experienced and bring what you bring to the table when you create.
no, like you and I together, we created a new logo for the Mental Health Warriors,
Yes, exactly.
which
Right.
people are due to see at some point.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah. Yeah, and it was a collaboration. That's another thing that I really enjoy about art is collaborating, because I feel like it's kind of like the whole idea that 2 + 2 can equal 6 if the synergy is there, and what you came up with, or what I brought to it kind of like amplified both of our creativity and made something new that neither of us could have made on
Yeah,
our own. You know,
yeah,
so yeah, I love that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So so as a new artist, I feel like you kind of said it already, but what advice would you give to someone else that's starting out? Like, maybe there's somebody out there that's like watching this and they're like, I've been thinking about doing art, but what if people don't like it? Or what if blah, blah, blah. All
You know
these
what?
reasons we cannot
Yeah.
do it. What advice would you give to somebody that's starting
Well,
out?
straight away, having a doubts in your head is completely normal.
Hmm.
But of course, you can have people coming across you and saying, "Oh, that's a shit painting. That's a shit drawing.
Hmm.
My baby can do a lot better."
Hmm.
Accept that. Accept it and acknowledge it,
Hmm.
because end of the day, you put your design to it. You took that time, and it's self care. It's therapeutic just
Hmm.
to draw art or
Right.
whatever. And of course, you can have doubters, but if you can find that tools and strategies to rise above it and use that negative, like I have, like Dave has, to use it as
Hmm.
a stepping stone to keep pushing forward, because that's what life's about, is keep pushing forward, you do great.
Hmm. That's great advice. Yeah. You're speaking to me too, because, sometimes, as I've been an artist for a long time, and it was only, in the last few years that I've been calling myself an artist. I would always say, well, I'm a graphic designer and I do some art on the side, you know. But at some point, I don't know exactly what was the breakthrough for me that I could actually tell someone I'm an artist and these other things I do are just to support my lifestyle and my, pay the bills.
Yeah.
So, um, but it was a shift in my thinking. And I think for me, it had to do with the idea of um, recognizing that it was something I was doing for myself that I needed to do. And you said it when you said it's a form of therapy, because um,
Yeah.
I had my priorities backwards. I think I was like, I wanted to be an artist, and I kept saying, I want to be a full time artist, but I was already an artist. I just didn't recognize that's what I am at my core. And these other things I'm doing are just to pay the bills so I can do my art, buy art supplies and create the things that are in me, like deep in me to create. Does that kind of resonate with you at
Yeah.
all?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, many artists have throughout history have had to have some other job or a patron or someone that supported them or, work that they've done. I mean, how many bands out there, for example, you know, really talented bands still have day jobs, all of them
Exactly.
still work because
Yeah.
they have to create that music. It's like deep in them, but um,
Absolutely.
there's no shame in that. I think some people as artists too, I'm going off on my soapbox now, but some people think if you have a job, you're not a real artist, like, oh, well, you know, if you're doing your day job, you're not creating all the time. And a real artist, will live off ramen and, live in a shoebox and create their art. But I, I'm not into that. I want to have heat and electricity and all the things that don't always come with just being an artist, And so yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway,
absolutely. Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to go off on all that, but
No, no,
that's
no, no. Keep going. Express
after
how you feel, buddy.
after having been an artist for a while, these things, I think about these things and I don't always have an opportunity to share them. So, but
Yeah.
this is about you and your journey. So I have another question for you, and I'd like to get back to men's mental health if we could for a moment. And
Yeah.
okay, so in your experience, what are some effective strategies or resources that have helped men prioritize their mental well being and overcome societal expectations or stigmas surrounding masculinity? What are some
Well,
strategies that people can use?
well, obviously, I have to put it out there that what I use may not work for others because
Yeah,
that's how it goes. Everyone's got their
right,
own
right.
strategy. But what
Hmm.
I do is I take time. I do it twice a week now. I used to do it only once, but now I do it twice a week, where I just be on my own, no one around me, and I just sit there and self-reflect on my life.
Hmm.
That's what I do,
Yeah.
and I get answers every time. It's like I'm connecting to my spiritual self. Now I
Hmm.
know not many of people are spiritual, but I am. And that's
Yeah.
my perspective. But that's what I do, and it really calms me down. Obviously, I play on the console from time to time.
Hmm.
I draw. I do this. I have family time, and you know what? It's really, really therapeutic.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when it's summer, I'll probably end up doing a bit of gardening.
Yeah. Yeah, that can
But
be
that's an
really good.
expensive habit as well.
It can be, yes. But there's something about connecting with the earth and getting your hands dirty, that I think we tend to miss out on nowadays because people are so, into just virtual world, like the computer, TikTok, all those things that we can do. Nothing wrong with those things. But I think in some ways we get a little connected from the earth, and there's something beautiful about gardening and making something like
Yeah.
grow out of the earth. I mean, you can't make it grow, but you plant the seeds and it, watching it grow and
Well, that's basically us.
hmm
We're
Yeah,
like seeds as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have you ever explored the art of bonsai?
No.
The Japanese art form of little trees in pots?
No.
It's so fun. I've done it a little bit, and you've seen the movie The Karate Kid
Yes.
from the 80s, right? And Mr. Miyagi, he had all those little trees, and he was like, Daniel-san, but that when I saw that movie, I was like, someday I'm going to do some bonsai, and I eventually did, and it is therapeutic for me just to sit and trim the little branches and try to kind of it's like it's not like drawing, because drawing has this immediate gratification to it where you draw and you immediately see what you create. But with bonsai, it's like you have to work with nature, you
Hmm.
know? And it's kind of similar to gardening in that, it's like gardening in a tiny little pot. But you can do that year round too. You don't have to wait for spring to come around to
Yeah.
do bonsai.
You
That's
can
why I miss it.
anytime. Anytime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome. Um, yeah, I wish I had one of my trees. It's winter here now. In Indiana, it gets really cold. Even in the apartment, it
Cold
gets
here.
cold and dry
Cold here. Yeah,
compared.
we've got a storm above us at the minute.
So my little tree has dropped its little leaves. It's a jade plant, and someday I'll show it to you when it's like full and beautiful. But right now, it's just like got like four leaves on it. It's just like it's winter. It's
Yeah.
cold. I don't
No,
want to
I
do
know.
it.
I do remember that. Obviously, I ran out of room to put it, and I wanted it indoors as well because it was getting to winter.
Yeah.
And I planted some potatoes in like a
Mhm.
pot, one of these long pots, and it was doing really well. It's sprouting and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I put it on top of the steps on the windowsill. And our cat, who, because I know our animals can have ADHD as well. So our
Yeah.
cat with ADHD basically jumped on the windowsill and knocked it over, and I had soil everywhere. I'm like,
Oh
oh, I
no.
lost it. I lost it. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah. That's
It's
one of those.
unfortunate. It's
It's
unfortunate.
unfortunate, but then you look back and hopefully laugh. But yeah, it's a bummer.
I still don't laugh now.
Yeah.
My partner does so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Oh wow. So I think we have a little over 10 minutes left, and I don't know, we can kind of open it up to anything that you would like to share with people about your creative journey and mental health, or anything. Like, I've asked questions that I had on my agenda to ask, and
Yeah, it's just basically just keep going, and
okay, okay,
it's about time people started tapping into their creative side because we've all got creativeness inside us,
yes,
and people are still unsure about it.
hmm,
Yeah, so just keep going
yeah,
because
I agree.
yeah, communicate with yourself. I know it sounds weird, but it's not.
Mm-mm.
Communicate with yourself because you'll be very, very surprised at how powerful and what response you get.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just delve into this, if you wouldn't mind. What do you think about technology as a creative tool, or creating using technology?
Technology.
Yeah.
In a way, I actually think technology is actually is restricting from people from being creative.
Hmm.
The reason I'm saying that is because obviously when I was growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, there was no smartphones, there were no YouTube, there was
Hmm.
no Google. There were all we had was the outside, the
Right.
outdoors, and that was where the creative was, and it still is. But
Hmm.
people are rather just sit at home, sit in their bedrooms, play on the phones, play on their Xbox, whatever, and don't go outside.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep saying kids today do not know how to be kids.
That's true because I agree with that. As a child, I grew up in the 80s. I'm older than you. But we didn't have iPads. We didn't have smartphones. We went outside and played, cops and robbers. And you had to use your imagination. You had to like think about a scenario and go, okay, well, here's the idea. You're going to be the cop and I'm going to be the robber and I'm going to go rob this bank. But, and you make up a scenario in your head. But today's kids, many of them are just spoon fed. For example, Cops and Robbers is like Grand Theft Auto, right? Have you know that game? It's the imagination is already done for you, so you don't have to create the scenario and run around and pretend. It's all spoon fed to you.
Yeah, well, even then, playing Grand Theft Auto, as good as the game it is, because I really do, it's a good game. It's a good game,
Yeah,
but for most people, it actually encourages them to actually go and do it in real life.
really.
And little do they know, you're gonna get caught and you're gonna
Yeah.
go to prison.
Do you really think? I mean, I don't know the studies. I don't know the statistics on it. But do you think that the people that play it? I mean, you could see it both ways, right? Like, say you have the desire to go out and rob someone, or whatever you do in Grand Theft Auto, steal a car, or stuff like that. But if you can sort of act out that desire in the game, maybe you don't feel as much need to do it in real life. I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
It's both ways. It's
Yeah,
like a needle in the haystack, isn't it? You
sure.
just never know what's gonna happen.
Right, right.
And
Well,
that's why I just live in the present, in the moment, every
yeah,
single day.
yeah. Well, we're in such revolutionary times with technology. I mean, you know. Oh, hello there.
Yeah,
We have an additional guest on the show. Adam,
of course.
would you like to introduce our new guest to the show?
Oh, my son.
Yes. Hey there. Oh, he's so cute. I mean, handsome. He's handsome.
Yeah.
I like the Mickey Mouse jumper. That's great.
No, he went off. All right. Okay.
So, anyway, this would be a cool thing that you could do. You could, there's a way to take your drawings that you do. You could make a jumper for your son with your artwork on it. There's more than one way to do that. You can do it online now, or you can buy the heat transfer for your printer, and it's like it's just like a like a sheet that you feed through like paper, but it's got a heat transfer material on it, and then you iron it onto a plain jumper, and then you have your artwork for you know what I mean. I think that would be really cool.
And anything's possible. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Isn't it, buddy?
Yeah. You can. I use a platform called Threadless to make merch, but that's another thing to look into too. You could. I don't know if you could use drawings of copyrighted characters, but when you do start creating your own characters, if you choose to do that, you could put your own original characters on products that people could purchase, like a handbag or a jumper for a kid, or a T-shirt, or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I'm sure me and you can come up with something.
Oh yeah. That's one of the advantages of technologies, because we talked about some of the downsides, and it really is a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, like there's things we are able to do creatively that we couldn't do 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but we're also kind of like losing something in the process, where we're more inclined to sit on our phones and doom scroll instead of doing something creative, So it's really, I mean, I guess maybe what we're saying is it's really what you make of it, If you choose to numb out and just use it as a escape tool or whatever.
Absolutely.
Not that that's bad. It's just it's something that maybe we need, like a vacation from our minds once in a while, just to
No, no, I'm
about.
starting to think of ideas now of what characters to come up with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure I'll get help anyway.
Oh
But
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
right.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. So just one of the things that I'm looking forward to exploring is VR. Um, my fiance and I, we just got VR headsets, those Oculus Quest that you put on your, and so far I've only played games, but you can actually create games in
Yeah,
VR that other people can play using the like Meta platform or whatever.
yeah.
So it's called Maker Pin, I think is what it's called. It looks like the app looks like a hot glue gun, but you can build. Oh, I just liked. I just did a like, I guess, or maybe someone else liked it. I don't know, but anyway, um, yeah, you can create virtual worlds in the meta universe through this Maker Pin application. And my fiance and I, we have the idea to create our own escape room,
Right.
and it'll be based on mental health.
Oh,
So
that is awesome.
like have you done a real life escape room or a virtual escape room?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about though? Where you're like,
Yes.
you start out in one room. Just for anybody that doesn't know, an escape room is like it's like a puzzle that you're inside the puzzle. So it's like a room, and there may be like clues in the room that help you figure out how to get to the next room. And there's an objective at the end that you're trying to accomplish. For example, like steal the Mona Lisa painting, and you're in the scenario, you're a thief, and someone has hired you to get into the museum and steal the painting. So that's the idea. I played one like that. It was so fun. We didn't actually make the objective, but it was still so fun. We got very close,
Yeah.
and there's one where you have to escape the Titanic before it sinks, you know, stuff like that. So it's very fun. But I'm excited to explore making our own escape room based on mental health, and the clues will be related to mental health. Like tips and things that you can use to encourage good mental health
Absolutely. Yeah.
in order
Yeah.
to win the objective or whatever. It's just a brand new idea, but um,
It's awesome, though.
for us.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
All right, so we're winding it down. I guess we've got like I mean, if we're keeping it inside an hour, we're almost there. So yeah. Do you want to? Is there anything else? Oh, I want to say the this thing,
What thing?
um, this thing right here. Um, this is what we talked about, today. But how we can let creativity be our guide on our journey through mental health, and that's the tagline. So so I just want to say thank you, Adam, for coming on the show. Thank you for having me as a host on the Mental Health Warriors Network. Thank you for all the work you've done already. And, I just look forward to seeing more of your art, more of your creativity, more amazing things from you through the Mental Health Warriors Network. And
Yeah.
um, also through what you're doing in school right now. We didn't even go
Absolutely.
into that, but you're learning how to help people with their mental health through therapy.
Yeah.
So, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to see what you come up with. And I count
Oh,
it
come on, something.
I count it a pleasure to be your friend and colleague in this endeavor. And yeah, I'm just
And whatever we are.
whatever we are. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm super excited. So thank you for being my first guest. And yeah, I'll do the outro here. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. You too. All right.
right. I think I did that right. As soon as the video went off, I hit end stream.
No,
Oh,